Christmas, everyone. Hopefully, you're having a great day today. If you want to drop any ticker symbols, feel free to. Nothing crazy this afternoon. Just thought I would get on here and see if we want to talk out loud and uh, take a look at the market and just think about what we've seen here. So let's jump into it. How are you guys doing today? All right, all right. We got some things that we maybe want to go over. If you have any ticker symbols, feel free to drop them down in the chat and we'll jump right into it. Let's get into it. So I know a lot of people are focused on the AI market. We're definitely going to be watching the AI market into this 2026 year. We're also going to watch for sure over in the quantum market too. That's going to be a focus. Our Sphere, what's going on? How are you doing today? How's that machine treating you? Getting some good analysis in? All right, you got KULR. All right, is that Ranil? How are you doing? APLD. Okay, we got some ticker symbols. So, no, let's take a look at some of the stocks. So let's start it off with KULR. That's the first one from our Sphere. And first things first, when I'm looking at a stock, okay, I don't even know if it's in my list here. No, we had it and then we removed it. First thing first, just when we're, is it going to go up tomorrow? Like you might be asking that question, right? That's the wrong question. The best question to ask when you get your hands on a ticker is, does it belong in the decision framework that we're trying to do? Okay. Does the company actually even belong on the watch list? Does it even belong on a company we want to look at? And so you don't need like more stocks. Some people come in, they think they need more ticker symbols. You don't need to get a ton of ticker symbols, but we can take a look at it. Really what you need is just quality picks. So KULR technology, they've had a lot of different changes. They've gone from energy, they canceled their SpaceX mission, maybe that's back. The Bitcoin stuff, they allocate a large percentage of their cash into Bitcoin. But they had a lot of dilution, and then they had some weird things where they were showing marketing for things that wasn't actually their product. That's what we saw in the past. And so that's when they had some red flags. And then we could take a look at their current financials. But again, just kind of asking if it should be even in the conversation. $163 million market cap. Balance sheet has increased over the last year. They've raised money up to 156 million, which looks good. With the net income negative, revenue slight increase, but for the most part, revenue holding low. So I'm hesitant to touch this one. I mean, look at that huge pump and dump. Probably wouldn't touch it. What's going on, Carl? So yeah, I just want to hop on here really quick, kind of go over some of the decision frameworks. But again, what you can see is, this one got manipulated. It shot up here, sold back down. And then since then, it's been holding below the 200-day moving average and struggling to keep above this EMA, just selling off, selling off. So currently, if you were going to look for a reversal or something, I personally wouldn't touch it until, not only you see it back up in that $5 price point around here, but that it also has, consistent financials as they've been very volatile. So that's kind of how I would approach that company. So I wouldn't approach it at all, essentially. All right. Our Sphere, what's going on? Okay, we got AMD. We got some good comments. How are you guys doing on this Christmas Eve? Our Sphere says, machine is doing well. I entered some APLD position this morning, and the machine helped you get a good entry. Let's go. That's awesome. So, okay, one thing to remember as we kind of get into this end of this year here, there's a few ticker symbols, and we'll go into the next one. Is that Nike or NKE? Which one is that? NKE. Nike, it is. That Usually, if you're kind of in the markets, some of you guys have felt this way. You've watched your stocks, and you kind of get bored. How many of you guys watching your stocks kind of get bored? Anyone? You're like, man, I haven't seen that many moves. I'm kind of waiting. Things aren't really happening. Anybody feel that way? It's usually a good sign. It's usually a good sign if you're feeling kind of bored. And because a lot of the losses, and this is a really good rule of thumb for people that are looking to invest in a bunch of companies in AI this year and look in space tech, and maybe you're looking at Nike stock and all these other ones. You're looking at data center stocks. There's nothing wrong with that. But most losses come from doing too much. In fact, it's so much better. This is actually one of the reasons that I used to struggle was because I overanalyzed a lot of deals. And so this 2026, I would challenge you. I would say, how can you this year not overanalyze any deals? How can you not overanalyze any deals? And hey, if that works for you and you find better results by analyzing, like overanalyzing, hey, all power to you. Just in my experience, like what I've found is that when I try really, really, really hard to get like perfect analysis, oftentimes it doesn't go that well. So this is interesting. Nike stock, they surged up to 180 in 2021 and they've not recovered. They continued to sell down, sold down all the way down here to about 52. All right, so let's take a look at the stocks financials. All right, and let me pull it up in the Prophecy app here. All right. All right. Nike. Okay, so they've had a lot of recent sell downs, but that their changes haven't changed much, or their business hasn't changed much. Revenues seem to be slightly declining in the last 2 years. We saw the net income actually dropped. Their expenses went up a little bit, and their net income dropped slightly, which we haven't seen in Nike. Before that, you saw a lot of consistent growth, but they had a nice last quarter, ending 2025 here with solid revenues, same as last year. Yeah, total assets are up. I mean, why would you invest in Nike stock? I'm curious. Like in a world where you have like so many other companies in fast-growing tech markets, um, like if there's one thing you're looking to get in 2026, let's say, like what would it be? Are you trying to have a very like solid, not so crazy investment setup where things are just slow growth? Or are you looking for more like to find the best plays in AI or something like that? Because it kind of just depends on what you're going for. I mean, I personally, I don't really pay attention to Nike too much. I guess you could potentially find some good deals, but a lot of my focus today is like over in, the tech market, right? You got APLD here. Okay, does that make sense? Like, if you're going to want growth in 2026, you got to commit to the stocks that are on the cutting edge, right? I mean, it's a chill time here. We're just here on Christmas Eve. We're just, looking at some stocks. But nevertheless, when I'm just looking at APLD, for example, like, um, I'm thinking about all the contracts that they have, and I'm thinking, okay, the growth of AI into 2026, this makes a lot of sense. How does APLD look right now? Let's see, Ranil, Elvis, what's going on, Elvis? You got DNA. It says, happy holidays. What do you think about possibility of a repeat end of the year quantum rally / Santa rally? Yeah, I mean, quantum is specifically like with D-Wave and IonQ and Rigetti, they've gotten a lot more focus from big tech. Interesting to see that Nvidia didn't include the D-Wave quantum in the recent NVQ announcement. And then you have what's kind of the focus in quantum right now is that potential like the SPAC deal with Inflection, because they were a part of the NVQ deal with Nvidia, so they might actually see some growth in the quantum market because they're a company that is in the conversation for being in multi-billion-dollar quantum companies. When it comes to quantum in general, if you wanted to see like a very let's say adverse approach to where they're at right now, kind of like with the consolidation, but see them really surge, I would watch the announcements from Nvidia around quantum. You had some chip announcements. It felt like every time the quantum market started to lose interest from institutional investors, you would like very shortly have an article from Nvidia come out, or you'd very shortly have another article come out from like Microsoft Majorana chip getting released, or the Google Willow chip getting released, or the Amazon Ocelot quantum chip. So, it could be that there is a catalyst. Let me check quantum really quick over in the Prophecy app as well. Pull up Rigetti, get an analysis. See what they look like here when we're looking through Grok, the lens of Grok. We'll get an idea for the next few weeks and months. Rigetti definitely had some sell-offs recently, and we saw them sell down to from what was a pretty high point around, what was it, $58 a share, and they're back down. Look, they sold all the way down. They have this 200-day moving average here on Rigetti stock, so they've sold back down to $19, $20 a share. Rigetti is now kind of using that previous resistance that we saw back in January of last year. This was right after they had more institutional buy-in and BlackRock started to invest more in the quantum companies. Specifically with Rigetti, they peaked out at $21 a share. And then again, like the same way that we talked about the, let's say, transference of data from one quantum computer to the other 10 feet away with light, or another quantum partnership, let's say between like IonQ and getting into the AWS cloud or whatever it was. There's all these different like little instances, and sometimes it goes the opposite direction as well. In that case, in the 2025, beginning of this year, they sold down at $21 pretty aggressively. And I really appreciated all the people that kind of stuck with us too, because at this time, this is when I'm not someone that tells people what to buy. You guys know that. I'll give you the facts of like where the stocks are. I'll tell you what I'm invested in. You kind of see what I'm invested in. I share with you guys that all the time. But this was the one time where I was actually like right in January of 2025, where I was like, oh my gosh, this is a crash. Everybody's freaking out right now. I'm getting messages like crazy from people saying that, is quantum done and this and that. And I remember like my phone, it was just in October that I started doing YouTube videos on what I was doing in the markets, right? Before that, I used to just, look at the markets every morning, and I was like alone, right? My wife and I would invest, that's what I did. And then when I decided to do like the YouTube and like share all the public stuff, it was like in a matter of months into January, in a very short amount of time, there was like hundreds of or thousands of people actually with like 10,000 subscribers in a very short amount of time. Like thousands of people were watching all the quantum things we were covering. And I was just getting blown up after this because of people that were worried. They're like, this sell down. And I mean, honestly, I was kind of worried. And then we flew out to the place where the event was made, or where the announcement was made at that event. And then we actually got some facts and stuff. And I remember like calling my mom from the conference, and I was like, Mom, you got to buy this stock. It's called Rigetti. and just get the stock because it pulled back tremendously. She's like, what's this? How do I do this? How do I get my Robinhood? And then we get her set up, and she got in at, yeah, like $5 or $6. This is the first time I was calling friends. I was like, guys, pullback, big pullback. And I love it. Ever since then, we've seen it jump. It actually 10x'd from that dip in January of last year. And then we saw it sell back down here, here into this previous resistance level of last year at January, except now that's where we're starting 2026. Isn't that something? Where we peaked out here in January 2025 for Rigetti, and you could look at the same charts on IonQ. And there's been a lot of tremendous breakthroughs in the quantum market over the last year. A lot more funding, too, from the US government, a lot more funding, and a lot more countries getting involved. It was the first time in this year, this 2025, where they had an event where every single country showed up to talk about how they're going to innovate using quantum and learn about quantum technologies. It was the first time ever. Every single country became aware of the quantum and starts integrating into their sciences. And so that was the moment when I learned about some of those facts, was when I was talking with our team, and I was talking with a lot of different investors at that time. And that's when we realized that it wasn't like a fad. Like, yes, you have a lot more, money going in, and the quantum market revenues are still kind of far off. But the indication that every single country was now learning quantum, and that China was investing, anticipated to invest around $20 billion into quantum into 2025. And then the US started to double down on investing in quantum. And then that $500 billion deal came through with the Stargate, and SoftBank being a part of it. And then SoftBank being heavily involved in the quantum space and NVIDIA. So funds going from the government and also from other tech companies into the market of quantum, made the quantum market surge to, obviously, it became astronomically high. And we see it pull back down. It's to this 200-day moving average, which is great. So now we got a pretty strong support on most of them. If you just literally were to draw a line on the previous resistance of January of last year on any quantum stock and just pulled it across until like today in a straight line, you'd find that that's where our nearest support level is, right there around about $21 a share, or $21 a share on Rigetti, and the price varies on other companies. Which stock, Crazy Carl says, is my favorite quantum stock? My favorite quantum stock is going to be IonQ. It's less talked about. And I also like Rigetti. Rigetti would probably be second for me. The reason I think that IonQ isn't guaranteed more growth than Rigetti. In fact, Rigetti is a lot smaller, and Rigetti is right there in Berkeley, California, which is like, right next to, NVIDIA. But IonQ, they're doing the trapped ion technology. So to me, when we're looking at the quantum market, like if you're looking at trapped ion technology, you're talking about the manipulation of atoms. And they already have a lot of partnerships. They already have the largest market cap out of any pure play quantum company. They're in the Google Cloud, the Microsoft Cloud, and the Amazon Cloud. And it's what we integrated into the Prophecy app. So the projections, for example, from Prophecy app, which is our AI here. I would love to look at this with you guys and see the projections here into the next 6 months. So next 6 months, let's see, 6 months here is going to be at $29 price target. And then 1 year is going to be about $32 price target, according to the Prophecy app. How accurate is the Prophecy app? Someone might ask. In fact, you do see some corrections even on the next day. I'll tell you how accurate it is. In fact, why don't I just show you what the Prophecy app back when it was uh, summer was projecting. So the Prophecy app, when we first developed it actually, and we were projecting only with OpenAI at this time actually, but we were using our proprietary, the same way I do all my analysis, we were putting it into the model. And I was really committed to getting the extra like analysis. That's why we started using it. But then it was like, oh, let's add more models. And now we got like all these different models and things are really going fast. And, we got investors in our company and I'm using it every day. Other investors are using it every day. It's really amazing. But it's been an amazing year. I would have never pictured that we would be at this point right now as a team and as a community and with you guys here and like everybody tuned in and just like building what we're building. I never would have pictured that we would have been here. I knew it was possible and I thought about the possibility of it, but I didn't know when it was going to happen. I just knew we just had to keep going and doing what we were doing. And so anyway, what I was getting to is if you look at the screenshots, actually, it's kind of funny, but when IonQ is back at $26 a share, I remember that the machine here, if I zoom in, a lot of people thought this was very like too aggressive. Let's see. Well, let me zoom in on, oh, it only zooms the text. All right, well, you can't really see it, but basically, the projection from the machine earlier this year when IonQ was at $26, it was anticipating that IonQ would get up to $58 a share over the next 6 months. And that was a 117% increase. And everybody was saying like, Will, that's like, why would quantum go up by that much? How is that the projection? It doesn't make any sense. And I thought, no, I mean this is what the machine says, and I conduct the same analysis across all stocks when I use the machine. So no, I mean that's what it says. And what we saw in a kind of short story here is it didn't just go up to $58 from 26. It actually jumped up to it jumped up all the way to not just 58, it jumped up to 84. Wow, 84. We did that analysis right around here. Is that like $28 a share right here in April? And it surged all the way to $84. Isn't that amazing? Such an amazing run. But anyway, every quantum company right now holding above that moving average. Yep. I love it. Oceaneering International. Matt, that is an interesting one. Man, what's going on with OII? Oceaneering. This is a really interesting one. Have you guys read those facts? How many of you have seen that like there's like 90% or more, 95% of the oceans have not been explored? And this company, Oceaneering, wow, it's been volatile over the last few years, but let's take a look at it. Oceaneering International, $2.4 billion company. They got about $750 million with a positive net income last quarter. That's pretty cool. Balance sheet looks healthy. This is actually very impressive. Revenue growth seems steady, annually growing about 10% with net income increasing to 51%. And cash flow positive. Oceaneering.com. Bringing your subsea assets to life with one clear view. Transform inspection data into a connected digital twin that reveals your asset's true condition. This is pretty cool. I love that. So they have a lot of things going on here, Matt. Financials look good. Oceaneering successfully completes sea field trial of ocean perception. Interesting. They just got some recent rewards related to their ocean technology. Their revenue is impressive. $2.6 billion per quarter. No, per year, excuse me. $750 million per quarter. That's actually really impressive. So they're doing $750 million per quarter with positive net income of 70 million. And their current market cap's at 2.4 billion. So they're essentially doing their entire market cap in revenue every year. And on top of that, they have another billion in equity. Wow, financials look impressive, actually. So they're doing ocean engineering related to wind turbines. Looks like maybe not as much of solely the construction. Looks like they have a glitch on their website. Ah, got a little glitch on their website. That's a green flag. When a website is not that good, I'm joking, but you guys know we joke about that all the time. Like, oh, they got a pretty bad website. They must be good. It's like the ones that have like the really, really nice websites are like face manipulation or something. Oh, okay, they got a glitch on their website. No worries. Yeah, it's not working, but hey, that's okay. News and resources. It looks good. I like their approach. Their financials, Matt, actually look quite good. I'm actually impressed. Oceaneering. I'm fascinated by oceaneering. I got to look at this company more. Let me add it. I'm going to write it down right now. OII. I love that. I love that, guys. Yeah, hey, appreciate you guys spending a part of your Christmas Eve here. And we'll get back to the regular market stuff soon. But tonight I just wanted to, I guess tonight here, I know it's like midday in California, but I just wanted to remind you that the clarity this year will beat the chaos. You're going to see a lot of things getting hyped up. You want to, even if that means that you're just spending a few extra moves to get more clarity in your investing, a few extra tools, a few extra moments of time to look at your investments or get more clarity, and a few extra moments of thought to think about how the market is rotating and where the institution's position. We do see pretty good day, not bad. Okay, we saw some green today. SPY is up about 0.25%. So a nice smooth Christmas Eve. And a lot of times the institutions, they schedule their orders right at market open or at market close on days where, I mean, you guys see that with the dips, even on busy days, that's when the biggest moves happen. But really they keep things pretty smooth usually around these times in the order scheduling, because people are like going to holidays, things like that. Thomas says nobody interested in Christmas. What do you mean? I'm wearing the Christmas hat. What do you mean? I walked down and like got some like food because my wife's family is coming over for a dinner tonight, and it should be pretty cool. Oh, my camera's not working. Hey, well, yeah, they're coming over for dinner tonight. I went downstairs to get some like empanadas, so that we can have food. And I was wearing what I'm wearing with my Santa hat. And luckily in Argentina, that the people are European, more base European here. There's some influence from Europe, and so I don't look that weird that I'm like a white guy. But anyway, I look pretty weird. People were giving me funny looks wearing my Santa hat. They don't, it's summer here. They don't do it the same way. So anyway, Great live stream, guys. I appreciate you all simplifying some of the moves for the AI stocks again. I'm glad we are able to go over some stocks here. We'll be watching for sure. Market open Friday. We'll be there. And then, as always, Merry Christmas if you guys celebrate it. Also, if you guys have any last tickers, I could stay on for a minute here. If anyone feels like they over traded this year, you want to get some better analysis. Again, if there's one thing that I hope you take into 2025, stop trying to win every single trade. Build something that you can do repeatably. Because the people that have successful trades and invest and who will win this next year aren't smarter people, they're just calmer. And so this time of the year, a lot of times it makes people reflective for a reason. It's like a natural reset right around Christmas a lot of times for the new year. If any of you guys feel like that resonates, then I would encourage you, have a look at our live sessions, and also have a look down at the machine, the Prophecy app in the first link below. That will definitely get you some momentum into the next year. And yeah, glad we got some good perspectives out here. The thinking frameworks, getting things on track for the year. I love it. Okay, Biggie's got one here. We'll take a look. Paul Henry says, Merry Christmas to you and your wife. Thank you for your presentation. Of course, man. I'm glad you're doing well. All right, so got one here. Yes, Angela, 100%. Yeah, how it's going to work is you'll be able to essentially drop in to your entire watch list. So you'll be able to drop your entire watch list in to the machine, and then it will analyze your entire watch list, and it will tell you, where the risk is, where the reward looks good, what the projections are for the entire watch list. Right now we have the AI generation for new watch lists, and then the importation of watch lists. But pretty soon we're going to have a watch list analyzation as well for projections on watch lists. So yeah, absolutely. We're going there. We are going there. Right now, main things we're focused on, we just added some new setup. So let me type in the stock TSSI that I saw in the chat here. Main thing right now that we just added was this ability to kind of scroll through and get your different pages. So now you can have your insider tabs. If you want to look at your future charts, however you set up your widgets. So we recently added that, so you can get your quantum analysis. So definitely we're getting that better, and then we're adding meta in the next week or so. Before the end of the year, we should have meta in there for our pro users. Grok, OpenAI, Claude, Gemini. Anybody that's in the machine for the beta access for the 1 year, and that's the first link below. And then if you use the code, the 200 off now, the code is 200 off now, then you get the 1 year access, $200 off. But here for the next year, we're actually going to be adding more models, and anybody that has that plan, they get all the AI models included. The other thing we're adding is, we just added this today actually, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, projections on TSSI, fairly bullish. They're configuring the data centers for big tech as far as the electrical and the configuration and the setup of the computers. So you can see they're projected to get up into that $10 range this year, according to Grok. But anyway, two other things that we're really working on right now. One of which is like, let's say you're, pulled up on Apple stock. Did I search it? There we go. Um, there we go. That you have the news down here. And so we recently just added this to where you can actually pull up like a news article, and it will give you like, or any news article, rather than having to like go read the whole news article. This is actually out today. We just added this. Is that you can get the full AI summary of all the news articles or any news article that comes out. So since we're already going out and getting the sources, a lot of people say like, what contributes to the projections? What contributes to the projections, like the technical analysis or the news? Are you looking at SEC data? Are you looking at insider trading institutions? Or are you looking at what Congress is doing? Or how are you looking at the news articles? All that stuff. We actually, we do that, but I wanted to start with the simplest form of output, which is a projection, and based on all those things, and then go backwards from super simple to, if you want to go deeper, you can read all of the sources and things that are being considered by the AI model that you have selected. And so now you can go dive deeper into all the news articles that are being considered. You can look at the summaries of them as well. So that's really cool. So you can kind of just like hover over the article, and then it will give you the, it will generate it. There it is. So you can see Apple spending big time for 2026. They're investing over 50 billion over the next 5 years into more of their AI focus. That's probably related to more their Siri replacement. But anyway, thought that was really cool. And then the second thing that we're really working to do, currently when you're using the machine inside the Prophecy app, you can use Tailor, which allows you to see, different stocks at once. Whoa, that was pretty sensitive. There we go. And you can see the projections from every single model at once. So, the reason this is like really good is because you can get a consensus of what ChatGPT's Pro model says, what Grok, the Super Grok Heavy says, and it's just going through, it's adding all of the different time frame projections currently, and it does a different analysis for the projection for every time frame. So like, yeah, the analysis and what it considers for a 1 day analysis will be different than a 1 year analysis. The same way that we approach investing, that we might hold something long term, but we might not look for like a short term buy trade, but we might even short it in the short term because the short term indicates other things. And so this feature here is just a temporary feature where you can see the projections from all the models at once. It's taking a little bit. It's doing a lot of research, but in the future, where we're going here is so that you can look at the projection of all of the projections in this chart at once. So you have like different lines. You'll have like a line for OpenAI and a line for Gemini and a line for Grok, and then the average. And then our proprietary setup that we're building out with Prophecy uses the data from all of the AI models, the best AI models that we have, into a median and our own proprietary analysis. And when I say proprietary, it's basically the same thing, but it just takes all of the models, and then like each one of these models is breaking it down from a lot of different data points, millions of data points. So that's already solving a big problem. But then you have like multiple models. Now you got like different models that are saying different things. So for example, for this, stock, you might have, OpenAI is plus 11% over the next 6 months, while Claude is, plus 8% on Apple. Like they're different. And so then you got to take all the models, and that's what we're doing is we're now taking the consensus, the unified intelligence of all the models and bringing them down into one model. And that's the prophecy model. So yeah, so like according to the 1 year, when considering all the AI models, it's anticipating a gain of about 21%. On the 6 month, 11%, 5%. Yeah, pretty interesting, pretty cool. I love it. All right, that's why we built it. It's just so great, right? So what we were doing, TSSI was the stock that we were getting an analysis on, and I think I had an analysis going via Grok. Yeah, we did. Okay. And so the projections for TSSI are pretty bullish as well. Yep, 22% over the next year, according to Grok. Next month, volatility, they do have some resistance they're facing around 750 that they have struggled to break above. And you can see that's why we could see some of these negative projections in the nearer term. And that's totally normal. But again, kind of like getting into the longer term time frames on the stock, you can see more of that recovery kicking in, anticipating more ramp up of the revenues that show up from the infrastructure that's being built for AI. So at least that's what the models say, and I think that that's, yep, that's about right. That should be our tagline for for the prophecy app, right? That's about right. Yes, so we'll be able to evaluate a whole portfolio at once at some point. That is exciting, Angela. I'm glad you're excited. Glad to see you here, and I'm glad to see that you're using the machine. I do see that we have many people, did you know that 100% of our machine users logged in the last month? Like 100%. Since we've launched in June, 100% of our users logged in this last month. That's really cool, right? And the other thing is the daily usage. The daily usage is not 100% of users, but it's really good. It's tons of investors proportionally to the few amount of people that have access to it right now. We just are over 100 customers actually, investors that use this. But of those customers, we have noticed the usage. And I would love to show you guys. I don't want to show any sensitive information, so I haven't really looked at it on stream too much. But I'll show you guys another time when I can kind of share that information without worrying about showing something sensitive on stream. And I got to roll, guys. Family's here. I hope you have a great Merry Christmas. Links below. See you guys in the next one. Take care.